Okay, part 2 of New Beginnings Scariness. Alright. So, yeah, if you need to watch the first part of this, obviously, if you're just watching this randomly. So,
sorry.
Alright.
Don't move on account of me. Okay.
No, I was trying to get my leg situated. Alright, so we just talked about the children leaving for Children's Church.
So, okay, so the children left, and this is when the scariness happened. Obviously,
More
they had to get
scariness.
the children out.
Yeah.
Oh, but we did figure out what High Fives for Jesus was?
It was
like
in one of the lyrics for the songs. It said up on the screen, it said something about lifting up your hands in worship for the Lord.
Because we didn't, I didn't understand what this was.
I feel like High Fives for Jesus.
Me too, High Fives.
High Fives for Jesus. Anyway.
The jumping high fives are the best, though.
Okay, one little tidbit here. They mentioned, I don't remember where this came in, the context of the service.
The Popeness?
Yeah, but
okay,
Pastor Steve...
I know where this was.
You do? Okay, please.
The Pope part?
Yeah.
Okay. This guy came up, and this guy was really cool. He was like a guest speaker.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was from India. He came over to America.
He was so cute.
And he had helped like co-found or whatever like 7 churches in India because that was what God told him to do, and that's totally cool. He's made a difference in a lot of
people in India are Hindu, and so
he's very Christian.
If you are a Christian, you wouldn't really have anywhere to go except to just practice in your own home.
And he said that in like their newest church, it was like 7,000 members.
Yeah.
And that's just their newest church. So
that's pretty
really
cool that
awesome
now he's helping them find places to go to worship together.
And so he was making a mention about, he brought up the Pope. He was not comparing himself to the Pope, obviously.
He was just talking about different stuff.
And he was a little unsure of who the Pope was. You know, some people are. I think that if you watch CNN or really any news program, you're going to know who the Pope is.
Especially back when they were trying to figure out who the new Pope was going to be.
That was quite
all over the place.
Quite recently.
All over the place.
And so he turned to Pastor Steve, who is the senior pastor at New Beginnings Church.
Which means he is their religious leader.
And
he had no fucking clue.
No idea.
He had no idea who the Pope was.
How do you not know who the Pope is if you're a religious leader?
Seriously, you should know who other religious leaders are. You should know this. Because it's a pretty big deal.
That part right there blew my mind. That was the first thing that I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Among other things, like, it just kept going.
Yeah, no, it was really stupid.
Because then he was telling this story.
Oh my god. The Buddha story?
The Buddha story.
Oh my god.
He's telling the story about this family who went, and they went over to Asia. Were they doing mission work, or were they just...
I think they were just on vacation.
And they brought back a little Buddha statue.
Just a little tiny Buddha
statue. Who
doesn't
go to Asia and bring home a Buddha?
Yeah.
I would.
Well, they put it in their kids' room.
No, it wasn't even in the kids' room. It was like in the living room.
It was in the kids' room.
Well, apparently, it was in the house.
After their vacation, the kids started having nightmares.
And they couldn't figure out why. And apparently, it was because Buddha and the statue of Buddha is ungodly.
And it brought back
he's a false god, and they were idolizing a false god. Buddha has never claimed to be a
deity at all.
He's a man. He is a man.
All the Buddhas have just been men.
He's a man.
Buddhism's a philosophy, not exactly a religion.
So it's really kind of disturbing that he's going to call Buddha ungodly when
he never claimed to be a god, dude.
Not to mention, if you're saying something is ungodly, you're saying is like heathenistic. I would never in my life think that Buddha was a heathen
at all.
Period.
He's pretty chill.
You have to know that there's some sort of higher power, whether you believe it is God or not, to be able to lead people in the way that you do in that, philosophy. So, I don't think that that's heathenistic at all. And for Pastor Steve to say that Buddha is ungodly, I think that was really...
And that's really just... That's not even...
That's the start of it.
Like... Okay, he was going on about, like, the main focus, I don't remember exactly what readings he did, but there were only, what was it, There were about 7 readings, but really he didn't read full passages. He just kind of read little snippets that fit what he was trying to talk about.
And it was really his interpretation of it, and I don't think
talking
his
about
interpretation
getting rid of all the ungodly things in your life, like certain fashions.
Certain fashions of today
jewelry
are ungodly. Certain jewelry is ungodly.
Yeah. And the rock music is the devil's music.
Because these boys, these rock and roll musicians are fornicating with women, and they're shooting up because every single rock and roll musician.
Then they're encouraging your children to do this. So when your children have
rock
T-shirts and posters and CDs and stuff,
they are worshiping.
They're idolizing
Satan.
False gods, false idols. So you gotta tear down all your rock posters, kids.
So pretty much, according to New Beginnings,
everything is ungodly.
Everything about us is ungodly.
Pretty much.
We're evil. I mean, obviously you can see it with my dyed hair and
I've got a ring with a pentacle on it.
This is about as low cut as the shirt I was wearing.
I've got some pagan jewelry.
I don't think this is low cut at all. And I had a shirt on over that shirt. But apparently we're
pretty
evil.
ungodly. There's a lot of rock stuff.
We listen to a lot of rock music with.
Yeah, so everything, he was just going on and on about all the stuff that you need to get rid of in your life that's not from God.
Oh, I do like
his opinion of what's not godly.
He would say, no, I don't want to go overboard with this, because some people are going to be like, well, what about frogs and frog statues, because witches used frogs. And he was like, no, because God created frogs. Well, then, going back to the Buddha thing, if you believe that God created man, then God created Buddha.
Yeah.
Buddha is God. See? He basically just, like, shot himself in the foot with that one. Obviously, the people in his congregation are not that educated, or they would have caught that one right away.
Yeah.
And he's a mean, mean man.
He made a lady cry.
Hardcore cry. Like,
she was all the way on the other side of the church, and it was a really big room, and she was, like, wailing.
Because he was saying that no one had Jesus in them. They were not living for Jesus. They weren't living for God. That
like,
God
they
was
might
not
be
present in their life.
God.
He basically said that everybody in the congregation were hypocrites.
Basically. Except for him, of course.
Of course. Of course, except for him.
Like, there wasn't enough, God wasn't present in the church because they weren't living for God every single day, just Sundays. And even then, only for an hour or two.
Does he hold their hand Saturday through Friday?
It was so crazy. And, like, okay, they only did, like, 3 prayers and stuff, by the way. And let's take a look at this again. You see that really long line? And this is going to be on the blog page again.
That's
79 interjections.
79
people yelling out all kinds of stuff, random things that weren't really even
Do not encourage this man, people. He does not need encouragement. He needs to be locked up and smacked upside his head.
Like, I took up an entire line, like, almost, in my notebook, tallying the interjections. It was insane. And then he was talking about how other churches are theatrical and dramatic, trying to get people to come because God's not present. And it seemed like, what are you doing? If people have to come here and they feel like they need to shout things out and you've got to sing, like, for half the service,
and you're telling people that they're hypocrites?
Theatrical and dramatic and evangelistic. It was really weird. It was just scary.
He was like, church services are not for you, they're for God.
And, okay, even when they did readings, he didn't even read the passages, he paraphrased them.
He was basically giving his interpretation on what it was.
And he wasn't even trying to hide it, that he was just giving his own interpretation. Because, I mean, seriously, instead of actually reading what was in the Bible, he was just paraphrasing. And at first I thought maybe he's just trying to be hip.
And then giving, like, these really radical examples as to what it was talking about. We're going to have to cut to part 3.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, we're running out of time, so,
Okay, yeah, just bear with us.
Sorry.
We have a lot more to say about these people.